What's up, kids? David Johnson back here for Emotional Fire Volume 3. This week, we're covering a column which, to this day, stands out in my mind as one of the favorite pieces that I ever wrote. I entered a little phase where I stumbled upon a bunch of Nike videos, Just Do It commercials, stuff like that on YouTube, and needless to say, I think Nike has done a better job at coming up with truly motivational and inspiring stuff than any other company or brand ever has. Some of these videos are truly inspiring. This one specifically dealing with Michael Jordan. Rarely in my life have I stumbled upon a catchphrase or a saying or a cliche or whatever that I really wish I had coined or written. And when I first heard Jordan say this in this YouTube video, maybe I made you think that every shot I took was a game winner, that my game was built on flash and not fire. The second I heard that, I was stopped in my tracks, and the hair on my arms, assuming I didn't shave my arms, the hair would have stood up along with some goosebumps and all that. I could sit there and talk for days about exactly what this column means to me. The idea of the extraordinary versus the ordinary, and the idea that it is a choice and a constant choice. It's not something that you say one time, I'm going to be an extraordinary person, or I'm going to decide, starting Monday, my diet starts, or I'm going to start training really hard, or going to the gym. Even if you make that choice a singular time, that's something that you have to continuously will yourself to do. So you start talking about the motivation and the drive. Motivation and drive is not a one-time thing. It's ongoing. Free will is a bitch because you got to keep that motor primed 24/7 up until the day you turn in your cards and lay down to die. So, I'll be honest, in writing this column, my real motivations, part of it was a real big fuck you to a lot of my clients. Realistically, training between 50 and 100 people, both in person and online, working as a trainer that's going to be aggressive about trying to push people to the next level, it's very much about overcoming excuses, overcoming obstacles, trying to find a way to get the person to just, man up and push a little harder and work a little harder. And, I saw a lot of parallels between myself and Michael Jordan when I first saw this video. I'm sure everybody during his career looked at him and said, oh, well, you're Jordan. It's easy for you. You're Jordan. Dude, he practiced more than anybody. He was more driven than anybody. If he wasn't great, he pushed himself harder to be great, and nothing. It was, maniacal obsession with just pushing himself further and further and further until there was no doubt. And I'm sure the people, mid to late career at that point said, oh, you just have all the talent in the world. That might well be true, but he harnessed that talent and applied himself consistently. And, hence that phrase, maybe thought my game was built on flash and not fire. So towards the end here, when I said here, Jordan was great above and beyond all else because he wanted to be great. It was his desire, his quest for greatness that made him great. He refused to be ordinary. He refused to lose. Realistically, I really believe that it's a certain calling to greatness. Not everybody is going to be a pro bodybuilder. Not everybody's going to be a millionaire or a billionaire. Not everybody's going to be valedictorian, do you want to be? Do you have that drive to say, I know there's nothing in this world that can stop me if I really fully apply myself every minute of every day, not just on this particular day. We're all going to have our moments where we fail and fall and stumble and screw up, and that's part of being human. The question is, when that happens, how do you respond? When you do fail. And Jordan talks in this video about all his failures that led him to being great. Do you dwell in it, or do you literally just knock off the dust and say, that's not acceptable? Don't get me wrong. You're not saying, oh, it is what it is and I'm okay with it. No, fuck that. You mess up, you're not going to mess up again. You're going to hold yourself to a standard. But you also don't dwell in it. Beat yourself up constantly, knowing that the past is the past. You learn from it, you pick up, you plan better for the next time, you apply yourself even harder every moment of every day until you have achieved that level of greatness that you were aiming to achieve. And even then, it doesn't stop. You need to sustain it. You need to constantly reinvent yourself, rethink through your premises, your life values, how you're organizing your time, if you want to keep growing as a person, whether physically in the bodybuilding sense, spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, economically, it doesn't matter. And that call to being greater, being bigger, doing something more, that's what I connected with this specific video. And then here at the end, some of my favorite writing, the writing wasn't advanced at this stage, but just the way that I connected with Jordan, given that I grew up watching him as a child. Jordan was extraordinary because despite the Flash, in other words, despite the fact that he had a lot of natural talent and genetic gifts, despite the Flash, his game was built on fire and his life was built on fire. He was a ball of supernova energy somehow contained in the cells and muscle fibers of a human being, waiting to be unleashed at any given moment when his will so dictated. For any fans of him, you'll see that pretty much is true. The guy was almost inhuman, and I've always had a special place in my heart for anybody, whether an athlete, intellectual, musician, whatever, that kind of fits that description, and they're almost blessed with a certain mutant power to be superhuman and above everything else that we've seen up until that point. Those are the people that keep me just smiling and wanting more out of this world. So again, Michael Jordan, Ordinary versus Extraordinary, one of the favorite columns that I ever wrote. Not the most poetic by any stretch, but I really connected with this one personally, hoping that you did as well. And we will be back soon for installment number 4. Emotional Fire, Volume 3. David Johnson, out.